Have you guys ever felt bad for someone, but also been jealous of them at the same time? This week's episode reminded me once again why I love watching anime. Byaku's prank made me laugh, Hector's attack left me shocked, Ryuzu's goodbye made me tear up, and finally Subaru's argument gave me hope. It truly was a roller coaster of emotions, and guys, this episode blew me away. The episode's title is The Beginning of the Sanctuary and The Beginning of the Ending because they finally played it. If I got to choose the title though, I probably would have went with The Melancholy of Hector. Let's begin chronologically though, and guys, please remember to smash that like button harder than Roswell smashed Echidna. This opening scene took me and a lot of novel readers by surprise. Of all things, I did not expect a side story to be adapted, but I'm glad it was. They really just gave us a flashback inside a flashback. Inside a flashback, inside a flashback, inside a flashback. A long time ago, the original Roswell used to be very sick. He had a unique talent for magic, but he couldn't properly disperse his mana. So periodically, he would experience excruciating pain. He basically got his period every few hours, and whenever it would happen, he'd isolate himself so it wouldn't annoy anyone. Back then, magic hadn't been popularized yet, so Roswell was treated like an outcast, and his extraordinary magical talent ended up being a curse. However, Echidna was able to see his potential. This scene was not in the novels, it was actually revealed in a shop-exclusive side story, so a lot of novel readers probably have no idea this even happened, but Echidna surprisingly kissed Roswell on the lips. I'm definitely expecting / hoping to see some in the near future, but I wonder how would Rom react if she found out about it? That kiss was honestly so hot that for a second there I totally forgot Roswell puked all over himself just 2 seconds earlier. I guess Echidna wanted to drink someone else's body fluids for once. And yes, if you think back to Season 2, Episode 3, Dona said people usually vomit in the presence of witches, so that's what happened to Roswell. He was suffering from his lack of mana dispersion, so by kissing him, Echidna dispersed his mana for him, relieving him of his suffering. After that, she taught him how to disperse it on his own, and helped him realize his magical potential, subsequently raising him to become the kingdom's most powerful magician. This is probably the reason Roswell is so obsessed with Echidna. But despite that, he was only 16 when she kissed him, so the FBI sent Hector to arrest Echidna, and as they say, the rest is history. Except in this case, the rest was erased from history, because after the events of this flashback, any historical records of Hector's existence have been completely removed, making him one of the most mysterious characters in ReZero. As we saw, he appeared to be an indestructible opponent who defeated Roswell with ease. I thought the scene was really well done, but I would like to read a bit of the light novel to show you anime-onlys how much more graphic the source material was. I'm paraphrasing here, but Roswell was described as sinking into a sea of blood, enough to convince anyone his torso had been pulped right at the center, his internal organs pushing up through his mouth. My point is, they built up Hector to be another indestructible enemy, just to leave us wondering how he died. Could Hector still be alive? I'll give you guys my theory in a bit, but let me know what you think first. And remember, if Hector is truly dead, then that means someone else got the melancholy witch factor. So not only is Hector one of ReZero's most mysterious characters, but he's also the most relatable and probably the hottest male character in the series as well. Aside from that, he also had a very strong authority, because yes, he is the Witch of Melancholy. I guess witch isn't a gender-neutral term, so they had to give Hector a different title, but don't let it confuse you. He is just as much a witch as all the others. The only thing that makes him different is the giant dong swinging between his legs. Hector's authority appears to be a powerful force that can be used for both offense and defense. It could be an invisible force field similar to the Unseen Hand, or he could just be a fucking healer, I guess. From a first glance, Hector appears to be about as powerful as Regulus. He was able to block Algoa, Roswell's most powerful magic spell, and he could damage his targets from afar with seemingly no effort. Sounds kinda familiar, but the one thing that sets him apart from Regulus is the giant dong swinging between his legs, is the fact that the heat from Roswell's fire spell actually made Hector physically sweat. The spell couldn't hurt him, of course, but his body at least acknowledged that it existed. Regulus, on the contrary, didn't even get dirt on his clothes, and his body was completely unaffected by everything, even when hit by a sneak attack. So Regulus's defensive ability appears to be a passive, while Hector's appears to be an active. Both abilities are extremely overpowered, though I would say Regulus would probably win the 1v1. Enough about Regulus though, I don't know why I'm even talking about him. Hector was the star of this episode, but he seemingly vanished from history after his appearance in the flashback. All we know is that Echidna survived and Hector was never heard from again. So how did Echidna win the fight? Well, in terms of her magical ability, Echidna is as strong as Roswaal, and in terms of her physical ability, Echidna is as strong as Megumin after she uses Explosion. So with physical damage out of the question, Echidna was an extremely powerful mage, though Hector appeared to be unaffected by magic entirely, meaning Echidna's only option would have been her Authority of Greed. Of course, we don't know what Echidna's authority actually did, but we can speculate. Somehow, Echidna was able to transfer souls into the Ryuzu clones and give souls to artificial spirits as well. I'm going to assume that her Authority of Greed is what allowed her to move souls around like that. So, I believe Echidna ripped out Hector's soul and put it inside Roswell's body.
It's free real estate.
Notice how the original Roswaal spoke normally and didn't dress like a clown, but Hector did. Hector dressed and spoke in the same manner the current Roswaal does. And check out Roswell's eyes. Before Hector attacked, they were both blue, but one of them mysteriously turned yellow after Hector disappeared. So I think the soul of Hector is trapped inside Roswell's yellow eye, which caused him to adopt Hector's personality as well as his manner of speaking. Oh yeah? Either that or his yellow eye is a clock that controls time. There was a sculpture in Memory Snow that a lot of people said looked like Hector, but I don't know, that might be kind of a long shot. If there are two souls inside Roswell's body though, which one's in control? Is Roswaal still himself, or did he become Hector? Or maybe the answer is both. If both Hector and Roswell's souls combined together, does that mean Rom has been having a threesome this entire time? Even though Roswaal clearly suffered a lot this episode, I felt a lot more sympathy for Beatrice. Despite all the mean things she did to Ryuzu, deep down, Beatrice considered her a dear friend. This moment was even more heartbreaking when you realize that after this, the rest of Byaku's life is spent alone in a library, gradually losing everyone she cared about. Imagine losing your best friend and then having to interact with a bunch of their clones that don't even know who you are because they lack the memories of the original. It's no wonder Beatrice doesn't want to return to the sanctuary. But anyway, we finally learn the true purpose of the sanctuary. As we know, Echidna wanted to research immortality, but this episode revealed that Hector wanted to prevent her from achieving that. So to keep herself safe from Hector, Echidna planned on erecting a protective barrier with Ryuzu serving as the core, but Hector showed up early before they were ready to activate it. Now, Echidna told everyone that Hector would destroy them all if they didn't activate the barrier, so Ryuzu generously volunteers to go ahead and sacrifice herself to activate it because Ryuzu was incredibly grateful to Echidna, so naturally she considered it an honor to protect the charitable witch whom she admired so very much. But for some reason, when Hector showed up, Echidna didn't panic and she wasn't afraid. No one knows what really happened, but it seems like Echidna dealt with Hector rather easily, almost like she didn't even need the barrier at all. Echidna is very intelligent, and according to the author, she has the highest IQ in the series. So if she knew she had a trump card that could stop Hector, why did Ryuzu have to sacrifice herself? In my opinion, Ryuzu's death was completely avoidable, but for some reason, Echidna allowed it to happen anyway. Regardless, there was definitely some deception occurring within that flashback, and I think the original Ryuzu was kind of fucked over by Echidna. In fact, so was Beatrice. Echidna gave Beatrice the gift of life only to shove her inside a library for 400 years. Even Roswaal might have been fucked over by Echidna. To save herself from Hector, she stuck his soul inside Roswell's body, forcing Roswaal to dress like a clown for the rest of his life. The point is, anyone who's ever interacted with Echidna has mysteriously gotten fucked over in some way or form. So when Hector attempted to kill her this episode, was he really the villain? From how he was portrayed, it's obvious that we're supposed to hate him. But remember, in Season 1, we were supposed to hate Betelgeuse too. And look at us now. Perhaps it's possible that Hector wasn't actually the bad guy this episode. Echidna has already admitted to doing some very evil stuff, so maybe Hector was just trying to prevent her from continuing. It's a shame we might never find out, but I think the biggest takeaway is that the Witch of Greed is a lot more sus than we previously thought. There were a lot of great moments this episode, but the highlight for me was definitely Roswell's voice acting and just the overall atmosphere during his argument with Subaru. Compared to everything else that happened this episode, a lot of this conversation was arguably skippable, but because of how perfectly the music, direction, voiceover, and even the art complemented one another, it ended up being the best part in my opinion. Subaru declaring himself Emilia's knight got me extremely hyped, and once again it's just amazing to watch him show off his newly discovered confidence. He really does feel like a completely different character. This entire conversation was absolutely stunning though, and Dio'S vocal performance was definitely one of his best, if not his best. Archer was awesome too. I'm a big fan of his, and I think he was a very good choice for Hector. The new ending was close to perfect. It's exactly what I wanted it to be. I like it a lot more than the opening so far, and it's definitely the best ending of this anime season. Other than this one. This episode was, of course, a 10 out of 10. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a like to support my channel. I'd also love to hear your thoughts or theories about the episode in the comment section. I seriously read every single comment. I don't know if other YouTubers really do that anymore, but I still do. Thanks for watching though. I'm out for now. Keep talking about ReZero and peace out.